Welcome, everyone. My name is Mallory Wilsey. I'm the VP of Marketing at Element 451. I'm so excited to welcome you to today's webinar. Thank you for joining us for 6 Ways Live Chat is Changing College Recruiting for the Better. I am thrilled to introduce our 2 presenters. Eric Range is VP of Product at Element 451. He has nearly 20 years experience in the higher ed space, serving in various roles in student affairs and enrollment management, including formerly an assistant VP of enrollment management, marketing, and operations. Eric, that's a mouthful, huge title.
They did not pay me by the letter, so unfortunately.
Since leaving campus, Eric has served in various partnership and product roles, both in and out of ed tech, including a stint at a Fortune 500 company. Brendan Henkel is Element 451's sales support engineer. He has 10 years of experience in higher ed enrollment, everything from the front lines up to executive leadership. Brendan started his ed tech career on the customer success side at Element and has since moved into his current role. Don't forget, folks, use that hashtag taking education higher. And Eric, I'll turn the session over to you.
Thanks so much, Mallory, and welcome everybody, and thanks again for joining us today. Here at Element 451, we're all about connecting our partner institutions with the people around them. The higher education landscape is challenging today, and the decision to enroll, stay, and later donate to your institution is built on the relationships forged between faculty, staff, and students. And those relationships begin in the admissions process. Recently, our partners at Twilio noted that 42% of millennials and 47% of Gen Z are feeling digital fatigue day to day. So we need to be sensitive to not overload prospects and students with interactions by just blasting off emails, and instead engage them in an appropriate, human, and responsible way. You've heard us often say at Element 451, we want you to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time. And it's probably time that we add in the right channel to that mantra. So before we go any further today, I'm just curious how many on the webinar today are currently using live chat. So Mallory's going to launch a poll.
It's launched.
Great. So institutions that simply transact business are going to continue to struggle to attract and retain students. So how do we connect, engage, and build those long-lasting relationships? We know familiar channels from yesterday and today, email and telephone, and they're not going anywhere. And in fact, we've got a few tricks up our sleeves on those channels too, but they do have their downsides, especially when your students are the ones that want to initiate the conversation. We want to meet the students where they are. And where are they when they have a problem or a question? Likely, it's on your website, looking to register for a course or find out how much tuition next semester is going to be. Or maybe they're online in your application and have questions about who can actually submit a letter of recommendation or what counts as a job on the application. So the best place to ask and engage that question is right then and there on your website or in the application portal. And that's where live chat comes in. You can unblock the student right in the moment, increase satisfaction, and strengthen your relationship with the student. So that's our goal today. We're going to share some thoughts around live chat and how you can begin or expand your live chat journey. So Mallory, just checking in on the poll and seeing how many folks are using live chat already.
Well, I shared this out in the Zoom chat, but I will say it here too. 44% said that they are using live chat today, which means 56% are not. So I think, sneak peek, I know what the rest of these slides look like. I just have a feeling that there are going to be some really great takeaways, both for folks who are looking to improve what they're already doing, but maybe also giving that 56% some ammo for bringing live chat into their strategy. So Brendan, why don't we just dive deeper, and what's the first of 6 ways?
For sure. Thanks so much, Mallory. Thanks everyone again for joining us today. So live chat is undoubtedly changing the landscape of student engagement, and we're here to cover some of those ways, 6 specifically with you, that it's making an impact. And the first one we're going to talk about is all about timing. So when you look at another medium like email, for example, there's so many steps the student has to jump through. Eric and Mallory and I have all talked through this, and we all have experience working on campuses and have seen firsthand what can happen when an email message gets stuck in a loop or being passed from one department to another department. And then what do you do next, right? I'm sure you guys have those horror stories as well. So we've got to move on from that antiquated form of student communication and engagement. And just like Eric was saying, meet students where they are. Students of all ages, they're texting, they're DMing far more often than they're checking their Gmail or formatting an email, or even taking the time to consider waiting for a message back from whoever they're sending it to. They have the world at their fingertips instantly, and mediums like texting, search, social media, and video are not where things are going. It's where they are. So it's time for us to catch up. As you can see, people right now have a very low tolerance for wait times when they need an answer. On average, we expect a 10-minute or less response time, but yet only 36 of responders are even meeting a 6-hour response time to emails. And this really makes the case for live chat. So in comparison, we're going to turn the spotlight on ourselves for a second. So you can see here at the bottom of the slide, you can see the stats of our own Element 451 live support chat. When a live chat is properly supported, these are the types of results that you can expect too. So your customers will be happy as a result. And I think we can all recognize that that's the ultimate goal here. So we're going to take a second now, and we're going to step actually away from the slide deck. And we're going to go to one of our partner schools, Southeast Missouri State University, and do a real-time test. So let's see the type of experience that students can expect when institutions deploy live chat as the main medium of communication. So we send that. We see that their usual response time was within a few minutes, which is really nice. He's going to put in the email there. Oh, someone is typing already. And we see, boom. And they're either a really fast typer or they're utilizing some nice canned responses there. So that's really awesome. So just how exciting is that to see how quickly a student can not only have a question, maybe they're looking to go to an event, don't know which one to look for, maybe they can't find it. In this instance, looking for the application fee waiver, and they go somewhere and they get help immediately. That instant connection is so vitally important. So we'll go ahead and navigate back here to the slides. And the next thing we're going to talk about is streamlining those channels. So I know you can probably remember back when it was a good choice to have multiple generic email addresses, one for admissions, one for graduate, recruit, scholarships. And it was a good choice until it wasn't, right? I mean, we didn't realize the time it took to manage all of them. For many, it became too much too quickly. So we've seen some of our customers sunset many of their generic email accounts and consolidate them into just one. And if that's something that you are looking to consolidate to for those accounts that you're sunsetting, we would recommend to go and set up an auto reply in those. And then that would drive the student to a landing page that has the live chat turned on and an RFI form so they can get answers to their questions much faster than sending an email. This way, you're streamlining your communications from multiple avenues into one centralized system to manage all those inbound questions. And for some people, whether you're consolidating or you're not consolidating those accounts, you can also take all of those accounts and utilize another feature within Element, which is our inboxes feature within Conversations, and funnel those emails into Element. That way you can keep all of your student communication in Element and stop hopping back and forth between your inbox and your CRM. So keep going here. We're going to look at the next on the list here, which is collect intelligence. So if this is familiar, go ahead and let me know. Did you get my transcript? When do classes start? What are my next steps? You've probably heard it all over and over and over again. And this is likely an indicator that students aren't getting or finding the answers they need when they need it. So getting the same question 100 times is not just a coincidence. It's usually your cue that you need to do something about it. And this is excellent intelligence to share with your marketing and web teams and can be a key point of collaboration. So now you can develop a strategy for how to routinely review this information and determine where to surface it on your institution's website. So the outcome might be adjusting the web copy on key pages, adding some new pages, or even making changes to your site navigation. So no matter what you're doing with the data that you're getting from the live chat, don't let it go unused. Next, we're going to talk about personalizing the engagement, right? So for many institutions, the first foray into personalized communications was with email and using personalized tokens to auto-insert things like student's first name or their major of interest into an email that's blasted out to an entire database. This is important. I think we can all agree that this approach is pretty basic, and personalization expectations of our audience over time have evolved. So with live chat, it now is allowing for that further personalization piece. Especially when it integrates with video, right? So we have some web-based tools that Element has an NCRM integration with between Loom and CoVideo. So now whenever a student is sending out an email or a text message asking, what is my application status? You can easily, instead of just sending back a message via text or typing, you can now record a quick 1-minute video response. The chances of them listening to that message versus reading it is incredibly higher. So we're going to take a look here at some of those numbers on this next slide. So 70% of students are likely to stay on campus if someone at the school knows their name or has a personal connection. 95% of a message, this one's wild, this one always blows my mind, 95% of a message is remembered when in video versus just 10% in plain text. And the average teen watches 68 videos a day. Meeting students where they are on the medium that they want will not only make them feel seen and valued, but it will allow your message to be received, understood, and remembered. Here's a great idea to incorporate into your strategy, right? So, and this is taking it even a step further from just incorporating video. It's making it personalized on a completely different level, a student to student level. So give your student ambassadors that you have access and host an Ask Me Anything session that is student to student directly from the CRM. The information will be logged into the student's profile. And thinking back to our last tip around collecting that intelligence, if you do this a couple of times throughout the admission cycle, you will generate additional insights to share back with your marketing teams. Consider doing the same thing with, it's not just student to student, you can do the same thing with faculty, advising, study abroad, financial aid. The opportunities here are endless to engage other areas and units on campus, and live chat should easily facilitate assigning incoming messages to these individuals. On to tip 5, which is automate everything. So gone are the days of manually assigning students, manually sending messages. The time is now to automate. So Conversations within Element 451 has the ability to create the custom rules to customize actions, to assign people, auto reply, add participants to the conversation, create any custom tags, and even more. Creating these automations is incredibly simple and can be set to conditions that are based on a segment that you've created or certain date parameters and even particular inbound conditions like who the message was sent from and what the content of that message is. So using these automations are, again, incredibly powerful. So we're taking the end user, and again, we're not only giving the students the answers quickly and in a time frame with which they want it, but we're also being able to help the end user to take away that manual lift of going in and doing all these things within the system and automating it to make these actions more powerful. So for our 6th and final step, I'm going to ask Eric to come back in and talk to us about it. Eric.
Thanks, Brendan. And as Brendan mentioned, that brings us to our last item, number 6, and really a natural extension of automate everything, and that's chatbots. So bots have become pretty standard across all sorts of sectors, from banking and retail, software support, and of course, higher education. The chatter around bots, especially in higher ed, started as a response to Gen Z's digital native on-demand lifestyles. But it's not just Gen Z. Nearly all adults, myself included, want on-demand options today, and Gen Alpha is quickly entering the higher education funnel. So to say this another way, when interacting with your school, everyone wants faster on-demand services. Today, there's lots of off-the-shelf chatbots that look up answers from a knowledge base, search your website, or provide decision tree style help. In fact, in the coming weeks, if you use Element 451's live support, you'll see some of those types of bots joining in the conversations. The best part is you can see 70, 75, even 80% of conversations are being resolved through the use of the bot in real time. Why else might you want to use a bot? They're always on. Nights, weekends, holidays, people can still get answers to the questions when they have them, not just when your office is open. They can be a front line for your live support, live chat and live support staff. And they can take care of the repetitive, easy to answer questions, freeing your staff for those more meaningful conversations and connections with learners on your campus. They don't replace people, they free people up to do better work. So I hear you asking, but Element doesn't offer a chatbot and we love conversations, so what do we do? Well, if you were at our Engage Summit in July, you know that we announced that a new chatbot is on the roadmap for 2023. And we expect our first bot features to roll out in the first half of the year. Of course, our bot will be uniquely Element 451's. When we started thinking about our bot, we asked, what if the bot could do more than search for commonly asked questions and answer them? What if it could actually do work? And that's the vision we have for our chatbot. Element 451's bot will be able to do things that other bots either can't do or would require a ton of lengthy integration work to accomplish. Our bot will be able to deliver personalized experiences, from going beyond how do I take a campus tour to actually being able to register them for that campus tour, change or update a specific registration, and give them updates on their admissions application status and more. We're super excited to see our bot come together and to share more with you in 2023. So those are our 6 ways, and that's our presentation for today. I hope you all see the benefits of live chat and soon chatbots. And while they won't fully replace all the other channels we use, especially if you're using conversations in Element that combine all the channels into that one unified experience for your staff, it's a hugely important channel to either add, or for those of you who are already using it in some capacity, increase the use of on your campus. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mallory to wrap us up.
Awesome. Guys, that was great. I really think a lot of those stats are interesting, particularly the ones around video and that stat about people and their memory and how it increases when they watch something versus read something. And I think that's really powerful. And especially when you can integrate video within your live chat, like, I mean, just skyrocketing, right? Even better. So that's awesome. So y'all, time to get your questions in. I've already got a few collected that I will be asking Eric and Brendan. But first, if you are attending today's session because you understand the value of personalized digital recruitment and you're looking to tailor engagement to each student at scale, I think you'll find some additional inspiration in this insight report that we've put together. The college experience goes personal. So I'm going to shoot a link in the Zoom chat and we'll send it out on Twitter as well, so you can access this white paper if you're interested. And that friendly reminder, please don't forget to fill out our quick webinar evaluation. I'll be sending a link out in the chat in just a moment too. All right, so let's get right into Q&A. First question I've collected, I think this one's for you, Brendan. You were talking about collecting intelligence as one of the tips, and you had an image on the screen that showed the same question getting asked over and over and over again. And I don't know, I was looking at it like giving me a little anxiety, like, oh my gosh, I would have to answer that question 800 times, right? One of our attendees is curious how we would actually recommend handling that, right? Because the timing, like we understand the importance of connecting with marketing and web teams and getting that information on the website, but that's not going to happen overnight. So what do you recommend?
Yeah, no, if you're, what I would initially recommend is, Element 451 is built out, and I think I just briefly breezed past this before, but saved replies within Element 451. And that is where you can kind of build out these like canned responses of maybe some frequently asked questions that are coming through, and you can prepare those ahead of time. Or if you notice they're coming in, respond really well to one, build out that saved reply, and now you have that in the system to use moving forward for as those questions continue to funnel in. So now you're prepared to answer it. It's not taking so much time out of your day to answer and type the same thing. And that's going to fill the gap in the meantime while you work on passing that data off to like the marketing and the web teams to build out ways to prevent that from happening. But that'll help you in the meantime.
Yeah, that makes sense. This next question is a bit of a two-parter. It's coming from two of our attendees. So first part of the question, what's the best way to handle live chat outside of business hours, or say even on weekends, right? Before the release of the chatbot, and or if an institution doesn't have one currently.
Yeah, so one of the ways to handle that is with some automation, as Brendan sort of indicated, where you can have live chat auto reply back between certain hours or certain days. So you could configure something to say, our office is closed at the moment, but we'll be back at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll be able to connect with you then. And maybe in that case, since that person may be navigating away from live chat, you want to ask them to drop some additional contact details, whether that's falling back to other channels like text message or email, but just collect that information via the live chat so you can follow up with them when you can.
Any tips on kind of reconciling the delay in the response?
I think the biggest thing is to set the expectations, right? When you can't deliver an immediate reply, either because your office is closed or what have you, really set the expectation and say right in that auto reply, right? Like, hey, we'll contact you by noon the following business day, or what have you, just so people can set some boundaries and understand going into it what they can expect. And setting those expectations will help a little bit with the fact that they obviously can't get the answer immediately as they were hoping for.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So a couple more questions are coming through the chat. Talk to us about the process around saving the auto replies. One of our attendees is just kind of noting, say in comparison to Facebook, he doesn't like how often, right, it asks him to respond in a page inbox, save this reply for future use, when he's just like having a conversation with someone. So what's our process look like within the live chat feature in Element?
Yeah, that's a great question. I put a little bit of a response in the chat there for him, but essentially what it's going to come down to, you're not going to, those aren't going to be popping up and asking you every time you're typing a response to someone if you want to save it as a saved reply. It is going to have to be something that you're intentionally wanting to create. So you're going to go into the conversation settings and build out those saved replies, and then you'll have them to use at your leisure whenever you need to, but you're not going to have those pop-ups coming in and asking you every time you're writing a message to create a saved reply from it.
Thanks. And then the last question we have right now, unless any others come through in the next 30 to 60 seconds, one of our attendees is curious, is Element desktop based, browser based? How are these notifications coming through for live chat messages? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So it is web-based. So, you'd have a tab that has conversations or Element open on it. You will get an audible ding when a live chat message does come in. We also do offer email notifications that will actually, if you get a conversation assigned to you through one of those auto assign rules, where we'll ping you on email. So if you have your email up and that's a notification that you get, that's a relatively quick way of doing it as well. But we would obviously recommend that if part of your responsibilities are to be part of the live chat team, that you kind of keep Element up and monitoring that in one of your many tabs that you likely have open at any given time.
Maybe next webinar, we do a little icebreaker to find out who's got the most tabs open on their desktop. Awesome. All right. Well, Eric and Brendan, thank you so much for giving us your insights and knowledge today. This was terrific. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this snack-sized webinar. And like I mentioned at the beginning, we've recorded this session. You will get access within the next day or two to the slide deck and the video recording. Feel free to share it with your colleagues if they weren't able to join us today. And within the next half hour or so, keep an eye out for an email from me giving you access to the resources that I shared in the chat room. Pretty please fill out that short exit survey and have a wonderful afternoon. We really appreciate your time and we look forward to seeing you next month for our next webinar.